I think that streaming services can be a very lucrative business. You have people paying you monthly to watch stuff, and they have to keep paying you money because there's constantly new stuff to put out. Hey, howdy, hey, everybody. It's time to sit down, put in those earbuds so as not to disturb the neighbors, and join us for another episode of Off Book, a podcast where we talk all about Broadway, movies, TV shows, and anything else that we want to geek out about. I'm Mark Stoufer III.
And I'm Ashley Szurna. Today we're going to be talking about streaming services, what they are, what they do, and what they can't do.
Streaming services, which are really just apps where you can watch select movies, TV shows, and other programming without traditional cable, have really only been around for like 15 years. But already they've revolutionized how entertainment is released and even made, and there are a lot of further developments just over the horizon. I think that when you look at the current entertainment landscape, I think that you realize that there are a lot of benefits to streaming. I think that one of the biggest benefits to streaming is that you can watch whatever you want, basically whenever you want. If I want to watch something that hasn't been made since the 80s, it's probably on a streaming service somewhere. And I think that that accessibility and that ability to choose what you want instead of just what's on is a huge benefit of streaming services.
Yeah, and even if you take a look at like Netflix, and back probably, I don't know how many years ago it was, Netflix, you'd order like a DVD, you'd get it for a certain amount of days, and then you'd have to send it back. But now it's a completely different kind of service where you can just scroll through and click on whatever movie that they have or you want to watch.
Yeah. Another thing that streaming can do is that it's portable. Before, you would have to just watch it on your TV at home, and now there are apps you can install on different devices. You can connect with various services to like a hotel TV or something, so you can. It's becoming much easier to watch wherever you want instead of just the TV. And I think that for people that like to travel and whatever, I think that that's a nice way to stay caught up on your favorite sitcom wherever you want.
I personally really like these like streaming services, apps, whatever, because then it's so accessible. It's not like Blockbuster where you'd have to go in and get this whatever you wanted. And so now it's just an app that you can click on your phone, your iPad, your computer, whatever, and just go and watch whatever you feel like watching.
Exactly. I think that accessibility and the ability to choose are really the two things that everyone keeps coming back to in terms of benefits of streaming. There are a lot of side effects of introducing streaming into the entertainment world that a lot of people don't think of, such as Disney has recently released several of their movies directly to Disney+, which a lot of people are saying they're bypassing theaters entirely with some films. And there's a potential that if they continue to do this, if they find that it's more profitable to go directly to a streaming service, the studios that have those, because every studio seems to have its own streaming service now, and there's the potential that theaters just aren't a thing for new movies anymore, and the rights to show old movies are very hard to get. So there's a chance that streaming services may not only get rid of TV, but also movie theaters.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like even right now, if you go on Disney Plus, you can watch the new Mulan movie for like $30 extra, and that'd basically be like going to a movie theater with your entire family. And I feel like having options like that, especially now because of the pandemic, I definitely think that movie theaters are going to start to decline, like in sales and stuff like that, because people are so used to just waiting until the movie that was in the theater is now on like Netflix or whatever streaming service is out there.
Another thing that you're finding is that not only are companies creating new content for their platforms, they're also sometimes in ridiculously intense bidding wars to figure out who has what. If you look at a show like The Office, it was on Netflix, and now it's moving to NBC's platform, and Disney's taking all of their stuff off Netflix. Netflix is just really getting the short end of the stick now because all the companies have their own streaming services. But you get a lot of competition to see who can get what and who can have the best content. And on the one hand, that's a good thing because it means that there's a higher chance that whatever streaming service you pick is going to have more of what you want because the people that make it know what you want, in theory. and are trying to get it, but on the other hand, it could work in opposition to what you want, because there was a service like Netflix that had all these things you liked, and then everyone stole it for them back for their own platforms. And so now you have to buy subscriptions to 5 different platforms to watch the same 5 shows you could on Netflix before.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one downfall of all these streaming services is if, like, look at Disney Plus. Like, now that it's out, it's taking all of its stuff off Netflix, and you're going to have to pay for another streaming service. And with all of these different services, it's going to get expensive, like, super quickly. And I definitely think that's one downside to it, because we're not going to want to pay for, like, 5 different streaming services just to watch a couple of TV shows.
Exactly. And now, a message from this week's sponsor. Streaming services have revolutionized the way we watch content. Nowadays, you can watch it on practically any device. But sometimes, you just want to watch it on your TV, like the good old days. And you can install the app on your home TV. But things get a little harder when you travel. What if you want to stream your favorite show in a hotel? Introducing the Cord Box. Simply call our toll-free number, and we'll set up a small, unobtrusive box near the TV. From there, all you have to do is plug in a small cord into the back of the TV, and you'll have all your shows instantly for a nominal fee. Gone are the days of lugging around flash drives with pirated content. For our low price, your shows are as close as a cord.
You mean cable?
Well, yeah, cable.
No, you just reinvented cable.
That's actually a good point. Let's talk about that. Back to the main program. Something that a lot of people have pointed out is that one of the reasons streaming services became a thing was to give the consumer the ability to choose what they wanted to watch and nothing else. You didn't have to buy a subscription to these 12 channels just to watch 4 shows, or just to watch the one channel. But cable wanted you to buy more channels, so they would put bundles in. And so the only way to get what you wanted, really, was to pay for stuff you didn't want. And then Netflix came along, and other streaming services came along, and solved that problem. And now, they're bundling again. If you look at Disney Plus right now, is offering a bundle with Disney Plus, ESPN, and Hulu, which is great if you want to watch all those things, but if you don't, you have to pay more to not get them. So, in essence, what streaming services have become are just cable, but without the actual cable. Because you still have to buy shows you don't want to watch, and you still have to buy bundles that include things you don't care about just to get what you want, especially with more and more shows leaving services to go to other services. So really, you've just invented cable, but on apps.
Yeah, and like the other thing that people like about the streaming services is majority of them don't have like commercials. So basically, these streaming services are cable without commercials, except for things like Hulu and a couple others, but I mean, that's essentially what it is.
Yeah, I think that there was the potential for streaming services to become a new way of entertainment, of creating and distributing entertainment, and it's essentially now just become cable. With benefits, I would say I think that streaming services have the advantage of being an app that is creating content for itself. If you look at all the Disney Plus originals that are being created, Disney could, and they did, they had all those Disney Channel original movies, but the production value of what they're creating for Disney Plus versus the production value of a Disney Channel original movie are vastly different. And so I think that the one positive thing in creating essentially cable, but not, is that studios can justify spending more money to create content because they know it's going to be there forever and that people can watch it whenever they want. So I think that they've created cable, and I think that technically it is a little bit better, but I think that in essence they've just kind of reinvented the wheel. But this time it's a steel wheel instead of a wooden wheel.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I definitely think that streaming services are going to be the thing instead of buying cable. Like even my family, like my mom just got rid of cable at our cottage, and we enjoy it a lot more than having cable. And majority of the time it's a lot cheaper too. So I definitely think that streaming services are going to be a lot more popular, and cable companies aren't going to be much thing in about 10 years.
Yeah. I think there's definitely the potential for streaming services to outweigh cable because it's so convenient and because of the original content. I think that in the future, as much as I'd like to say we're going to be able to buy less packages and buy less streaming services, I think that it's only going to get worse at this point. I think that unless you have a major company merger and Disney and Netflix and Universal Studios all combined into one mega corporation, which I don't even think is legal, I think that we're just going to keep finding more and more companies saying,
hey, we have some content, let's pull our content from that library and make you pay us instead.
Because I think that streaming services can be a very lucrative business. You have people paying you monthly to watch stuff, and if you keep making more stuff for that streaming service, they're going to keep watching it, and that means they're going to keep paying you money, and they have to keep paying you money because there's constantly new stuff to put out. So I think that streaming services will, at least for a while, continue to thrive and get more and more like cable until eventually something comes along that will change all that, and then it'll probably become cable again.
Yeah, I completely agree. So overall, I honestly think that, well, I enjoy streaming services. Like, obviously, I'm not paying for it, so
that does help.
Like, I can't really say much, but personally, my experiences with them are a lot better. Like, I haven't watched cable in probably 2 years because of them. So, and now I'm really like enjoying Disney Plus, and to me, it's a lot more convenient, and I like it a lot more than I do cable.
And now, we've reached the end of today's episode. If you'd like to rewatch the episode, you may, but we are done talking for today's episode.
Next time, we'll talk about franchises and what makes some sequels, but not others work. So don't forget to join us for that. Until then, have a nice life, and we'll see you next week.